Let's look at the current political shift in South Africa. Is the Afrikaner making a comeback in politics? For a long time, even asking that question would have sounded absurd, almost provocative. The dominant story since 1994 has been one of steady Afrikaner political decline, cultural retreat, and quiet survival on the margins of power. The Afrikaner, we were told, had accepted history's verdict and moved on to farming, emigrating, or arguing on Facebook. Politics belonged to the ANC and, later, to its various splinters and rivals. Yet something has changed, and it's not coming from where many expected. What makes this moment interesting is not a sudden resurgence of Afrikaner nationalism, flags, or old slogans. That era is gone, and it isn't coming back. The shift is subtler and far more uncomfortable for South Africa's political establishment. Afrikaner politicians, particularly those who speak plainly and without apology, are being noticed again, not primarily by Afrikaners themselves, but by black voters who are tired, skeptical, and increasingly immune to liberation-era messaging. The phrase circulating informally in some black communities, "Peter Greenwald for president," captures this moment perfectly. It is not a serious campaign, nor is it a realistic electoral project. It is a signal. It reflects frustration with corruption, anger at empty promises, and deep fatigue with racial rhetoric that produces nothing but division and decay. Greenwald, fairly or unfairly, has come to symbolize something rare in South African politics. A politician who seems to say what he means and mean what he says. This doesn't mean black voters are suddenly embracing Afrikaner identity politics. On the contrary, identity is becoming less important than outcomes. Jobs matter more than slogans. Safety matters more than struggle songs. Competence matters more than historical theater. When voters joke about supporting an Afrikaner politician, they are not endorsing his entire worldview. They are expressing a longing for order, consequence, and honesty in a political environment that feels increasingly dishonest and chaotic. The decline of the ANC plays a major role here. Its moral authority has been eroded not by opposition brilliance, but by its own behavior. Years of corruption scandals, cadre deployment failures, and internal factional warfare have hollowed out the party's credibility. For many voters, the ANC no longer represents liberation, but stagnation. Its language still lives in the past, while daily life becomes harder, more dangerous, and more expensive. The rise of the MK party and the persistent presence of the EFF have not helped. Their politics lean heavily on grievance, ethnic mobilization, and revolutionary language, but offer little in terms of practical governance. For voters who want electricity, policing, and functioning municipalities, this rhetoric increasingly feels like noise. It excites a base, but alienates those who simply want the state to work. At the same time, the Democratic Alliance has struggled to define itself clearly in this new environment. Its cautious centrism, once a strength, now often reads as indecision. By trying not to offend, it has ended up failing to inspire. To many voters, the DA feels like a technocratic version of the ANC, focused on management rather than moral clarity. This creates space for voices that appear firmer, even if they sit outside the political mainstream. So is the Afrikaner making a comeback in politics? Not in the old sense. There is no mass return to ethnic mobilization or minority dominance. What we are seeing instead is the re-entry of Afrikaner politicians into public relevance as symbols of something broader: discipline, bluntness, and resistance to political theater. Their appeal is not racial. It is psychological. This first shift is not about power yet. It is about attention. And in politics, attention is often the first warning sign that something deeper is changing. Please note this is an observation only and not meant as an opinion piece. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and make it go viral.